Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Hope you've been joining these. This one is going to, I don't know how it's going to be taken. I don't know how if it's going to hurt feelings, if people are going to disagree. It's 2023, everybody disagrees. So I'm going to talk about something that happened to me as a child. And I've talked about this in the past, but it keeps coming up. And the reason why it keeps coming up is I see grown men. I take a Monday. I don't know when this will be posted, but Monday I fly to Chino Hills, old Chino Hills, California, to help instruct class 17 of the project. It's a transforming life experience for men. And one of the things that happened there is we break some glass ceilings. And what I mean by that is this. When I was a child, obviously I grew up poor. I grew up moving around a lot. And one of the things that happened was, and it wasn't, I'm not placing blame on anybody by any means, other than the individual, but I was, to a certain extent, physically abused by a stepfather for a number amount of years. Come to find out, my little brother was verbally, or I guess more emotionally abused. And it wasn't until I kind of hit puberty, and I think it was about 11 years old, and we got into a scuffle and went through a closet door, and I fought back a little bit and made a big ruckus where my brother saw, my mom got involved, and that was the end of that relationship, nonetheless. But I didn't really realize the impact that had on my life until later in life. Now, a little bit, it gave me a little bit of fuel, if you will, to work hard. It gave me a little bit of fuel to do things better in life. But it definitely created a glass ceiling in my life where I could never break free. And I want you to think about yourself this way. I want you to think about the things that you start, like the diet you start, the business that you start, whatever the thing is that you constantly start, but you never finish. Or maybe you go for a little while, but then you self-sabotage. Or like something happens and it gets in the way, and then you lost 10 pounds and then you gain 10 pounds, or you lost 10 pounds and you gain 12 pounds. And it's just this yin-yang effect in your life constantly. Or maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's a business. Maybe it's making money. Maybe it's staying away from alcohol or drugs or pornography or whatever it is the thing is for you. Your vices, your addictions, the things that are holding you back. I challenge you to look at them in a different way. I challenge you to look at them as, why are you constantly going for this thing, but then constantly failing? And the reason for this is something I learned at the project. 1 in 3 men are physically abused. 1 in 4 men are sexually abused as a youth, as a child. And I'm sitting in the room, and I wouldn't have, if you just told me this, if you're watching this video and I was watching this video, I'd be like, that's bullshit. There's no freaking way that that's true. And I'm sitting there in this room, and we're talking about these things. A group of men talking about the men who have made it to this level. And we're sitting there, and we go, I'm counting the men sitting around in this circle, and it was dead on. 1 in 3 men physically abused, to include the instructors. 1 in 4 men sexually abused. And I'm like, wow, this is the issue. This is the issue. And you can go back to a different generation and go, oh, they were tougher and this and that. And listen, were they? Yeah, maybe a little bit here and there. Maybe it was a different spectrum. But how many of them had issues? How many of them, what's the suicide rate of people that were, our age, 30s, 40s, and the 40s? What was the suicide rate later in life? What was the alcoholic rate? What was the drug addiction rate? What was the rate of affairs? What was the rate of heart disease? What was the rate of heart attacks? There's a lot of things that you can look into. All these men had their demons, just like the ones that we have today. And the reason why we can never truly change, we start something, we quit. We start something, we quit. We get in a relationship with a girl and a nice woman, and we fucking blow it. I mean, people have blown it. Like a rock star lady, right? And you fucking blow it. And I have tons of men in the Agoge that we talk about these things all the time. So I know the path. I know the rhythm of this, right? I know that almost the algorithm, the analytics behind it, because we talk about it twice a week, and it comes up every single meeting. So I challenge you this. The reason why this is happening is because you have trauma that you have not dealt with in your life. And maybe it's the one that I talked about. Maybe it's something else. I got a guy that we talk a lot about. He doesn't have a problem with alcohol, but he was raised by alcoholics. So the yin yang of the abuse, physical abuse, or not physical, but maybe a mental, or the yin yang of, seeing your parents, completely passed out drunk on the couch. And those people aren't, they're not making your lunch for you. They're doing the bare minimum, keeping you alive, right? There's a lot of trauma that comes from that. And that's something I learned. The grown adults that were children of alcoholics is a whole different thing. They have eating disorders. They have, relationship disorders. They have trust issues. They have this glass ceiling in their life that they can never break through. And the reason why we call it a glass ceiling is because it's see-through. You can't really see it, but it's so simple to break through. It's just glass. But the point of it all is, if you're yin-yanging, if you're on the roller coaster of life, if you can't stick to a fucking thing, it's because you have some issues that you have not fucking dealt with. And the courageous thing is not, man up and fucking bury him and deal with it. And fucking, that's the most dumbest shit ever. The most courageous thing you can do is get help. Most courageous thing you can do is have the vulnerability to go, man, I am not the man that I want to be. I'm not the person. I'm not living up to what my potential is, because of this fucking thing that's inside of me, and to own it and to go get help and put it to fucking bed for once and for all. If you're an alcoholic, true strength is not trying to deal with it or cover it up. If you're addicted to drugs, true strength is not trying to cover it up. True strength is acknowledging it and facing it head on, admitting to it, shining light on the fucking darkness that it is, and getting any assistance, whatever that assistance needs, to beat it. Admitting it. Telling your friends, hey man, I'm struggling with X, Y, and Z. I need some serious professional help. That is courage. So I challenge you again. If that is you, if you're listening to this, you're watching this, and you go, man, Nick is talking about me. He pulled my number. Then man up. Man up and get the help you need and put it to bed. And then, truly then, you will become the person that you need to be. Never quit, never surrender, always forward. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.